In this lesson, we will learn how to leverage ChatGPT to find the right programming language syntax. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start with a basic example. I'm going to ask ChatGPT to tell me what is the syntax for a for loop in Python. Let's go ahead and test it out. In Python, the syntax for a for loop is as follows. You basically say for variable in, and you specify an iterable here. And this is explaining for you basically what a variable means, what an iterable means. It's pretty incredible. And then you will see an example afterwards. So he's telling you that you can define, let's say, a list here, call it fruits. And then to write a for loop that is going to print every single item in a Python list, you just say for fruit in fruits, which is my list here. And then you print basically the fruit. So you're going to print apple, and then banana, and then cherry. And it's also showing you what the expected code output is going to look like. Of course, you can go ahead, copy that code, and then you can use it basically in your Jupyter Notebook or whatever IDE that you're using. Another key point as well that I would like to show you, basically what I showed you here is if you click on New Chat, you will find that here I upgraded to ChatGPT Plus. So it's around $20 per month as we speak right now. And what you could do is instead of leveraging GPT 3.5, you can go ahead and leverage GPT-4. Basically, GPT-4 is an advanced model. It's only available to Plus subscribers. And basically, GPT-4, it's kind of GPT 3.5 on steroids. It's a lot more powerful. It has advanced reasoning capability. And it also it has as well an advanced complex instruction understanding and more creativity as well. If you just select GPT-4, you can go ahead and you can simply type in here. But notice that basically right now it's capped at 25 messages every 3 hours, even after you pay for the $20 subscription per month. Okay, so I'm going to head back to GPT 3.5. I just wanted to show you how we can leverage GPT-4 if you like. Okay, what if I would like maybe to learn Java, and I would like to learn how to declare a variable in Java? To press enter, here we go. To declare a variable in Java, follow the following steps. So you need to choose a name, decide on a data type, and then use the syntax, data type, variable name to declare that variable. And here we go, showing you how to basically declare an integer here, basically kind of all the details, assigning a value, for example, to your variable. And you can, of course, go ahead and copy that code if you like. Okay, what if I wanted maybe to learn about conditional statements or maybe if-else statements, for example, in Python, and I would like to learn the syntax? So I'm going to say, well, what is the syntax for performing conditional operations in Python? And here we go. In Python, you can use if statements to perform conditional operations. And here's the syntax. You just say if, and then you specify the condition, you add colon at the end, and then you do something if that if condition is true. You can also see here a code telling you if x is greater than 10, print x is greater than 10. And you can also see how to use if or else if statement as well, and showing you an example along with the output corresponding to it. Again, pretty incredible. It's like, your favorite teacher talking to him or her and then getting an answer back again. Okay. What if I would like to maybe ask, okay, what about the syntax in C? So in a different programming language, I would like to learn about conditional statements. What you notice here is basically ChatGPT is quite smart because it remembers the previous conversation. So when I say, what about the syntax in C, it basically kind of understood that I'm referring to the previous here prompt when I asked about performing conditional operations. But instead of Python, now I'm basically referring to a C programming language. So you'll find that the answer here makes sense. And that's how you define an if-else statement in C programming language. And showing as well here an example. You can, of course, go ahead and copy that code and showing you the output along with an explanation as well to that code. Okay, what if I would like to perform maybe data analysis using a powerful library known as pandas, if you're familiar with it. And I would like to know what is the syntax for filtering rows in a pandas data frame. You press enter, says very well. In pandas, you can use Boolean indexing to filter rows in a data frame. It's telling you that you basically can write a condition here and showing you also an example. This is an example of a data. Here we're using pandas data frame constructed method to create our pandas data frame DF. And here you're filtering out basically the pandas data frame if the price is greater than 10. So this is a condition, and showing you the output as well. We have been able to filter out that pandas data frame to only select simply these two values of 15 and 12. And that's why here I'm getting these two rows, that because the price here is more than 10. Again, pretty amazing because it's much better, to be honest, compared to just reading the documentation, because here you get kind of distilled information. It's right to the point with explanations, with example. Again, pretty amazing if you would like to learn any new language from scratch. Okay, what if you'd like maybe to explore data visualization and you'd like to learn about the syntax to plot a line plot using matplotlib library? So here I'm going to say, what is the syntax to plot a line plot using matplotlib? Here we go. You can simply say, first you need to import matplotlib library, and then you say plt.plot, you specify x versus y. And here as well is showing you an example with actual values with x and y. Then say just plt.plot, and also adding the x label and y label associated with it. And that's, again, explanation as well associated with it. And here it's telling you the image you are requesting does not exist or no longer available. But I'm assuming for the next iteration of maybe GPT-5, for example, or so, you'll be able to see actual figures in here. It's going to be much, much better, I would say, experience compared to what we are experiencing right now. Okay, what if I would like maybe to experience with another library, maybe such as Seaborn, and I would like to learn how to plot, let's say, pair plot using Seaborn. Here we go. What is the syntax to plot a pair plot using Seaborn library? Here we go. To plot a pair plot, here we go. You need to import Seaborn as SNS, and then you just say sns.pairplot, then you specify the data. And again, here we have an example with real-world data sets, kind of showing the price, rating, and reviews. Of course, it's a very small sample. You create a pandas data frame, and then you say sns.pairplot with the showing the pandas data frames. Yeah. Okay. What if I would like to make HTTP requests in Java? Let's go ahead and test it out. Here we go. How can I make HTTP requests in Java? And here we go. To make HTTP requests in Java, this is simply, if you're familiar with Java, this is exactly how we do it. And if you keep going, basically, you can just copy that code and you can leverage it in your project. And it's also explaining to you exactly how you are setting the request method, how you're getting response code, and so on. Okay. And finally, we have our this is my favorite prompt. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, let's assume that you'd like to learn Python, for example, and you would like to talk to ChatGPT as if you're talking to like an incredible professor, for example, kind of really knowledgeable professor that can kind of change the tone and the complexity of their explanation according to your prompt. So here I'm going to say, pretend that you are a Python professor. Teach me the concept of variable assignment and data types. Let's go ahead. Here we go. Sure, I'll be happy to explain the concept of variable assignment and data types in Python. In Python, a variable is a name that refers to a value. To create a variable, you simply choose a name for the variable and assign a value to it using the equal operator or the assignment operator. For example, it is how you can create a variable, call it my variable, and then you assign a value to it. So you say my variable equals to 10. After you create the variable, you can go ahead and print that variable, and then the output is going to be 10. I'm going to show you, okay, now let's talk about data types. Can I tell you, well, we have multiple data types in Python. We have numbers, strings, booleans, lists, and so on. Instead of you an example here of a Python string, how you can print that string. And you can go ahead and see another data type. You show the int data type, integer data type. It's also showing you the type casting, how you can convert from one data type to another. It's again pretty amazing. And well, maybe if you don't like that answer, can you maybe say the following, right? I don't understand this, or maybe I didn't understand this. Can you explain it in simpler terms? Let's go ahead. Anyway, sure. In Python, a variable is a name that represents a value. That's kind of toning down basically the examples here. And well, you can see pretty much, again, similar examples. We can say, can you explain the same concepts to a 10 years old, for example? Let's go ahead. Sure, in Python, you can use variables to remember things. That's like giving a name to something you don't want to forget. Again, pretty incredible, kind of toning down the complexity of the topic to target, let's say, maybe 10 years old or even younger than that, which is, again, really amazing. It's kind of really creative as well. For example, if you want to remember what you have 10 toys, you can use a variable called toys to assign the values to it. You can say toys equals to 10. You can print toys, and you can print the value as well associated with it. Again, really amazing. You can use it as your perfect tutor available at your fingertips. In this lesson, we will learn how to develop a study plan and find the best resources using ChatGPT. So first, we can start by asking ChatGPT to develop a study plan for us in 1 week or less. And let's assume that we would like to start, maybe learn Python. So just say, define a study plan to study Python in 1 week or less. Then you press enter, and basically what you find here is that ChatGPT is going to show you a detailed breakdown of the days. For example, he's telling you that learning Python in 1 week is an ambitious goal. It generally takes a little bit more time to actually master Python, but it gives you a quick overview. So day one, basics of Python. We're going to start with variables, data types, math operations, basic operations, and then cover loops and conditional statements and functions. In day two, we cover data structures, and then day three, cover object-oriented programming, or OOP. And then in day four, we'll cover file handling and modules. Day five, web development with Python. Then day six, cover data science with Python. And of course, covering here all the key libraries such as pandas, numpy, matplotlib. And then in day seven, cover the practice and review, kind of to practice your coding skills. That's actually pretty good. I would say this is a really clear outline and study plan. And this is kind of pretty much similar to the study plan that I came up with when I started to learn Python. Okay, so the next question is, what if I have maybe 1 month to study Python instead of 1 week? So what's powerful about ChatGPT is basically it remembers the previous conversation. So now I'm saying, what if I have 1 month only? So basically it kind of remembers that I asked before to do or develop a study plan in 1 week, and now I'm changing it to 1 month. And here we go. Basically, it's telling you that having 1 month to study Python gives you more time to dive deeper into the language, which is great. And then it breaks it down by weeks. So in week one, then I cover basics of Python. And then in week two, we'll cover data structure and algorithms. And then in week three, we'll cover object-oriented programming and software development. And then in week four, we'll cover the advanced Python topics, basically covering decorators, generators, and also covering machine learning and data science applications as well. Okay, pretty good overall. Well, what if I wanted maybe to look for the best books to learn Python? Well, you can just ask ChatGPT to say, what are the best books to learn Python? Here we go. Basically, it's going to tell you these are the key, I would say, most widely opted books. These are Python crash course for beginners. Here, book number 2, Automating the Boring Stuff with Python. And then Learning Python by Mark Lutz. And then Python for Data Analysis. And then Fewer Python. And basically, I verified some of these, and they are actually pretty accurate. And maybe if you're looking, for example, for courses, well, you can ask ChatGPT to basically say, what are the best 3 courses to study Python? And here we go. There are many online courses available to study Python. One of them is Python for Everybody by Charles Severance. And then the second one is Complete Python Bootcamp by Jose Portilla. And he's a fellow instructor on Udemy. And then the last course here is Python for Data Science and Machine Learning Bootcamp, also by Jose Portilla. So, well, because I teach as well on Udemy, maybe I would like to ask ChatGPT if it basically knows my courses. So we're going to say, well, any Python courses by Dr. Ryan Ahmed, for example. So if you press enter, it's going to tell you, well, yes, there are some courses available. But basically what you see here, and this is a key important point when it comes to ChatGPT and generative models in general, basically sometimes they tend to hallucinate. What you notice is the first basically task, your first course, is actually pretty accurate, but then afterwards, these courses are actually some sort of hallucination in a way. They are not developed by me, for example, but basically ChatGPT is kind of trying to link the up courses, for example, in Udemy, with certain instructor, which is basically the name that I mentioned here. So you need to be careful when you use ChatGPT and to make sure that you verify the information. Okay. Well, what if you'd like maybe to learn, for example, JavaScript? We're going to say develop a curriculum for learning JavaScript. If you press enter, saying you, well, here is the curriculum. So we're going to start with an introduction to JavaScript, and then we'll cover data structures and functions, and then we'll cover advanced JavaScripts afterwards, and then browse APIs and document object model, or DOM for short, and then frameworks and libraries, back-end development with Node.js, and then advanced topics as well. Pretty good answer overall. Well, what if you'd like maybe to explore certifications or maybe exams? And let's assume that you're interested in learning about AWS or Amazon Web Services. So, for example, you can go ahead and ask ChatGPT, are there any certificates or exams available to master AWS? Well, it's going to tell you yes, there are several certifications. These are actually pretty accurate. Again, I confirmed all this information before. So AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner, that's one of them. There is a Solution Architect as well. There's also AWS Certified Developer and AWS Certified DevOps Engineer. And it's also giving you a quick explanation of who should take that certification and basically an overview as well of the, if you'd like maybe to, of course, explore the exam as well, and what kind of questions, you can go ahead and ask those questions further. Well, what if you'd like maybe to go for an interview at some point and you would like to know what kind of projects you would like to work on to master machine learning in Python? So well, I can go ahead and ask ChatGPT what are some project ideas that I can work on to master machine learning in Python. And here we go. It's going to tell you, you can basically use machine learning to predict house prices. And this is kind of an example of a machine learning regression, basically task. You can also here cover image recognition, so you can learn about convolution and neural networks to classify images. You can also learn about sentiment analysis or develop projects related to sentiment analysis or NLP or natural language processing. You can also have some examples related to finance and the banking sectors, such as fraud detection. Here we give you an example as well of recommendation engine, similar to Netflix recommendation engine, for example. And Amazon, of course, recommendation engine, and then finally covering time series analysis, such as predicting stock prices or weather patterns, which is, again, a really powerful and very good answer. And this is kind of the advice as well that I give to my students if they would like to build their portfolio, have some examples on regression, classification, kind of tabular, basically data set, and then shift into image recognition, and then have some examples or NLP, some examples in the finance and banking sectors, and then time series analysis and recommendation engine. Very, very good answer. Okay, the next question is, well, what are maybe the best tools if you'd like to do data visualization or perform web scraping in Python? So simply, instead of asking Google, you can just say, what are the best tools to do that? If you just press enter, ChatGPT is going to reply back, it's going to tell you, well, these are the most widely used or famous data visualization libraries in Python. This is, again, a very good answer. So overall, here we have Matplotlib, Seaborn, Plotly, and Bokeh. We also, for web scraping, we have Beautiful Soup. We have Selenium as well, and requests. And these, again, are very, very good. It's a very good answer by ChatGPT. Well, what if you maybe would like to, for example, download a specific library in a Jupyter Notebook? For example, let's assume that you're interested in this first library here, which is Beautiful Soup, and you would like to learn how to download this library. Well, I can go ahead and say, how can I download the Beautiful Soup in a Jupyter Notebook? And here we go. Basically, ChatGPT is going to tell you, well, you can need to do pip install Beautiful Soup 4. And here it's going to tell you how to import that library afterwards. So you're going to say from BS4 import Beautiful Soup. And this is actually, again, a very good answer. What I really like as well about ChatGPT and all the generative AI models, kind of explaining to you as well, what do you need to do and why do you need it? It is telling you, for example, after you install the library, here you need to import Beautiful Soup, and then that will allow you to use Beautiful Soup to parse HTML and XML documents and extract data from them as well. Okay, and then finally, what if, for example, I would like to leverage some libraries to access services available on AWS or Amazon Web Services? Well, I can go ahead and say which library I should use to access AWS services with Python from a Jupyter Notebook. And please note that these are basically like real-world examples that are encountered as well on a daily basis. For example, here I would like to access maybe AWS from a Jupyter Notebook. But here, ChatGPT is telling you that you need to install Borrow 3, which is basically the software development kit or SDK for Python. It's telling you here you need to do pip install Borrow 3. And then afterwards, here you need to configure your AWS credentials. And then afterwards, you need to simply access services such as S3, for example, and it's giving you a sample code. You can, of course, easily just say copy code, and it's, again, really powerful tool. And you can use it, as I mentioned, to develop a study plan and find the best resources as well.